has everything.
Bumping and banging. Big boy in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, he has made the move.
He made it.
We got Dr. Oz in here.
Yes.
How you doing, Dr. Oz?
I love the new digs here.
Oh, thank you, my brother.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, man. And I figured that if I was going to impress you, I had to do this.
You've done it.
I needed a room with the view. He used to come by and be like, oh, my God, it's so closed up and claustrophobic in here. How do you create all this genius work? I was like, because I do. You know what I'm saying? This is just what a genius would do.
Well, at first, it was never small. It was always big. Everything
Yeah.
Big Boy does is big. But
Yeah,
the view you have here is unparalleled.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. You looking up parallel.
Yeah, I don't
huh?
know what unparalleled means.
Yeah. All
Sorry,
righty now. So, Dr. Oz, welcome, my brother.
Well, thank you very much.
Man, and I say that you continue to do the beautiful things that we know Dr. Oz for.
Having a good year.
And what's going on with the new season for you, brother?
The new season is all about balance. You know, we did this big research project in the summer, and we looked at what folks are really most worried about. And yeah, people they care about their health, of course they do,
Yeah.
their physical health, but their mental health. That's the real opportunity for making improvement. And so what we've been able to do is to get folks think differently about when they get pulled 100 different directions, what do they do about it?
Jesus Christ.
How do they find peace in all that craziness? And also, I'll tell you, we've been working a lot with folks, especially in the U.S. government, believe it or not, including the White House, on this whole program around mental health and addiction. I don't know if you know about this, but the number one cause of accidental death in America now for people under age 50 is addiction. It's
Right.
craziness.
Damn.
So I was at this big concert we helped with in Washington on the big mall, that iconic location where so many great speeches. And we give Martin Luther King speeches
Yes,
there.
sir.
And this concert was headlined by a bunch of wonderful artists. Steven Tyler was there, Sheryl Crow, Joe Walsh from the Eagles, a bunch of different artists, different backgrounds. And they were all there because they're all in recovery.
What? Yeah.
And then I met the drug czar. You know who the drug czar is? The drug czar is the man the president appoints to be in charge of all drugs in America. Wow. And this guy was in recovery himself.
Wow.
And I was so impressed that they were actually putting people in charge who've been there. And I told the story when I was at this concert. I was in Pittsburgh going to an event. The event happened to be at a church. So I'm driving there, and so the cabbie, you start talking to the cabbie. He starts saying, you know, what's the event about? I said, well, I think they're going to talk about hell. You know, and he says, the interesting thing about churches is people go to church to stay out of hell. But if you really want to know about hell, talk to someone who's been there. He said, I've been there. I was an addict.
Oh, wow.
And he started to open up on me. So November 19th, big day, mark it on your calendar, November 19th, we're asking everyone in America, and by the way, it's not just me, a lot of different folks, from the White House to major medical groups to big-time celebrities, everyone in between, asking everyone to talk with their families about the fact that drugs are becoming a big issue again in America.
Yeah, man.
And we no longer fear it like we should. In fact, one of the big causes are prescription pills that are being taken and diverted and used for other purposes.
Do you feel like even just socially, like at one point things used to be looked at a different way? It was like if you did a certain drug, it was like, oh, stay away from this person. Or, oh, he smokes weed. Then it got into, stay away from this person because they do crack or they do cocaine or do whatever. And now you get so many prescription drugs. Even online, I'll see somebody like, oh, who got such and such, through Instagram. Yep. And now it seems like there are so many drugs that feel socially accepted, which is so scary right now. And there's so many more, and people are doing certain things just out of, is it a party? Is it a good time? Is it an escape? Like there's so many drugs available, and there's so many other excuses now.
Yeah, we're not scared like we used to be.
Right.
And it's becoming a dominated, and most folks don't appreciate this as well. We use 80% of all the narcotics in the world in this country. 80%. We're 5% of the population.
Wow.
We're using it all. And part of the problem is doctors like me aren't trained in giving out pain meds. So listen, right now, just give a simple example. If you go to a doctor right now, you're having a tooth pulled, let's say, and you tell the doctor you have a family history, someone in your family has had a problem with alcohol or drugs in the past, they should not write you a pain medication with narcotics without thinking twice about it. Mm-hmm. But we do all the time. If you personally have had a problem, for sure you shouldn't get it. And a lot of times we don't realize how dangerous and how slippery a slope that is. And I've had so many guests on this year alone, big-time guests, folks who are really successful in everything they do, but they have gotten tripped up by just getting prescription pills from somebody. And they don't realize, especially kids, get it from their parents a lot. They see their parents taking it. They go to the medicine cabinet, grab the pills out of there. They write you scripts for 30 or 50 pills, so you got lots left over because you don't need that many pills. And these are the big conversation points you need to have.
Like, and especially just kind of getting rid of and cleaning out your house as well. Like, I don't take, I've been through surgery, Dr. Oz, like they would try to give me Percocet, morphine. Like, I don't take anything. I just say the next day, like, okay, I can move a little bit. It'll get better. It'll get better.
Yeah.
But even I remember one time, man, this girl I knew, she was like, well, what? I said, man, I'm going to throw the Percocet away. She was like, give them to me.
Oh,
No.
my
I'm like, are you?
Oh, my
you know,
goodness.
Like,
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm talking about, dude, I can't take anything. And I'm like, I couldn't imagine functioning on a Percocet.
Well, I'll tell you, there's just to be clear about this, addiction is like having a broken leg. It's a medical problem. We've stigmatized addiction. It's a big problem. We put a lot of folks in jail for having addiction problems. You don't put people in jail for having a broken leg, right? You
Right.
fix the broken leg. So that's all going to have to change too. That's part of this big, I think, change we're going to make as a country when we are in a renaissance phase for this. But you bring up those pain pills. So the reason you don't want to take the pain pills, big boy, oftentimes is if you take them, a lot of folks just get sleepy. They feel drowsy. But other people get alive.
Oh,
They see the world in Technicolor. And when they taste that even once, they don't want to give that up. And it turns on all these reactions in the brain that get you addicted so fast you don't know what hits you. I'm talking about folks from every walk of life, rich people, poor
Yeah,
people,
man.
different colored people,
Yeah.
all ethnic groups. It's affecting the 1 in 3 families now. 1 in 3 families has someone personally related to them that is having an issue. So this is a good time for us to get serious about this.
All right. And you know, they say
man.
1 too many's and 1,000's not enough.
And there was a recent rave where they had nearly 500 arrests, and it was all because a lot of kids were under the influence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were just finding drugs
That's what
on
I'm saying.
them.
It's extremely
It's
available,
crazy, man.
and it's a different kind of acceptance. Now we're talking about just some of the shows, and I just want to ask you about one that just recently aired, the Fix or Fail 30 Days, 30 Ideas for Your Biggest Body Problems. And we're all not perfect.
No.
Everybody can't be Big Boy.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
It goes without saying.
yeah. So what did that show consist of?
So I mentioned talked about my whole audience all year long that what we want to do is focus on balance to make it easier for you to live your life. So there are lots of things we think are quick fixes, and sometimes they're fails. So we're going to do the work for you. We're going to do the testing ourselves. We're going to actually tell you what works and what doesn't. As an example, cellulite. 90% of women have
yes.
cellulite, and they hate it, right?
Yeah, I do.
And they moan and groan about it.
Yes, it sucks.
Right. And the fact of the matter is, if 90% of people have it, it's not something that's going to happen once in a while. It's not because you didn't eat the right thing. It's because your skin is tethered to the muscle using these little bands, and they make these little puckering images. That's what cellulite really is. So people say, well, I'll take coffee grounds and I'll rub it on.
Right.
'Cause what you should do with coffee grounds is mix the OxyContin with it and throw it away.
Right.
Destroy it. That's like, but putting it in your thigh will only work for a couple hours.
Oh, okay.
It does work for a couple hours, but it's only going to work for a couple hours. But there's a new operation now that lets you get beneath the skin and cut those little bands minimally invasively, so women can actually get rid of their cellulite.
Wow.
Especially if it's in a very focused area.
Wow.
So when I hear these ideas, there's another one that's really good that I heard about that's unbelievable. Wendy Williams actually turned me on to this because we're friends and we go back and forth on the shows. And she said, you sweat as much as I do, which I do. I sweat a ton. And she said, I have this procedure where they put a microwave under your arm and they microwave the sweat glands. So you don't make any smell or any sweat anymore, and the hair goes away.
Wow.
And it usually works with one treatment. So I thought that's unbelievable. And so we tested it, and it does work.
Did you test it on you, or you?
I haven't tested on me yet.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I don't mind the sweat. I actually never did mind the sweat. I think when I play sports, which I do a fair amount, I want to be able to sweat. It cools me
Feels
down.
good.
Yeah, so I didn't want to get rid of it. But I can, when I go on the show, people don't know this, but I put these things called pit pads on. These my underarm pads.
Because I was going to say, I never see you sweat through
Yeah.
your shirt
Yeah,
on the
that's
show.
why. Those pit pads are moist when I'm done. I mean, they're like sponges.
We gotta
Wow.
get those for Vic.
They work.
Yeah, one of our guys that work here, a DJ, man. I didn't know that they had pit pads.
Yeah, pit
But we
pads,
got to get
they're
them
great.
pit pads.
Yeah, big time.
All righty, cool. Okay, so write that down. The holidays are coming.
yes.
So we got to get
Hilarious.
Vic one
Stocking
pit pad. Now,
stuffer.
speaking of the holidays, man, this is that time of the year where everybody,
Falls off.
Yeah, everybody falls off. Everybody starts to think, well, you know what? I'm going to get through the holidays. I get through eating all the Halloween candy. I'm going to eat Thanksgiving and whatever holiday you celebrate, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever it may be, we eat. And then our mindset is first of the year, New Year's resolution, I'm taking it off. How do we get through the holidays, Doc, without gaining any weight or sticking to the so-called program that we had in January?
So I had Monique on the show.
Yeah.
And she is something else, by the way. She deserves that Academy Award she got because she is she
Yes.
entertains at every level. So I asked the same question: what's a practical strategy you use? Because most women gain most of the weight they're going to gain over the holidays. She says what she does is she circles the days of the month when she's got a big event. She knows she's going to eat a lot on those days. She's going to
Yes.
drink. She's not going to sleep a lot. She can do all the wrong things. Circle those days and make sure the days right before and right after it, you don't put on other events that are going to mess you up as well. So plan out your cheat days. So you look at the holiday month, you probably have 10 days out of 30 you got to go out and do something, which is a lot, more than you should. But it's the holidays. The other 20 days, you can't afford to mess up. So those 20 days, you're going to focus and pay attention. And most important, I tell you, it's not the food, it's the sleep. Because what we sacrifice is the sleep, because we got to try, get to the kids' presents, to their events, to your parties, to the extra works issues. And when you try to do all that stuff, you don't sleep, you crave carbs, right? Because people don't sleep, they crave things you shouldn't be eating, and then they go after them big time. It's the single most underappreciated problem in America.
And you know what? I don't sleep, and we've talked about this, Dr. Oz. I don't sleep well at all. And you guys covered that once again as far as how important. I always tell my wife, I've been doing morning radio for years. I don't sleep well anyway. And some people say, I can't function off of unless I get 6-8 hours on. I mean, I'm a 2, 3, 4 if I'm lucky, and it's not 4 straight through.
So short.
What the hell do I do?
So Leonardo da Vinci,
I go find him?
go find him.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, look him up. Look that
On
up
the
there.
hunt.
Yeah, look that up.
So Leonardo da Vinci was this the ultimate Renaissance man. He lived in 15th century Italy. He sculpted some of the greatest, most beautiful art pieces of work ever. And I'm going to say this again, thought of as being one of the smartest men ever, most creative men ever in human history. He would sleep 2 hours a night, and then he would nap all day long. So every couple hours, he'd take a little nap. Some people, 5% of us, don't need 6 hours a night. The rest of us are mortals. We got to get to 6 hours. But if you can get through with less, that's God bless you. But I bet you that a couple naps during the day would help you. Do you get a chance to do that?
Not at all.
Yeah, you ought to program that in. I'll tell you a little secret. In between my shows, I do 2 shows a day usually. We tape in New York at the ABC studios.
Do you want me to come live with you?
Please come.
Okay.
I'll give the address. But in between those 2 shows, in that studio space is a big area where you can actually sort of lie down. I lie down and nap.
Wow.
I don't mind doing it in public even. For about 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Little trick is if you're a coffee drinker, I don't drink much, but this I do sometimes. I'll have a little piece of chocolate that has caffeine in it or some coffee just before I nap. Then it'll wake me up in about 10, 15 minutes. And then when I wake up, because the caffeine's hit me, I'm really awake.
See, I'll drink coffee and think, okay, I'm good. I'm not going to nap today. I'll fall asleep in 10 minutes. But I've noticed that I don't nap as long if I have the coffee just before my nap.
Now be careful about coffee in general, because coffee's a little bit of a lie. It's good for you.
I love
generally,
coffee so
but
much.
it's not really giving you energy. It's taking energy from your energy banks. It's making a withdrawal from the energy bank you got. So you can do that in the morning once, do it twice. By the time you guys get halfway through your show, your bank is running a little short.
Yeah.
You can only pay for so many things with credit. You then you got to start paying the credit card
told
bill.
her.
I
told her,
I
see?
try
Listen
to
to
stick to one cup, but
Dr. Big Boy, listen to him.
Hey,
Dr.
man,
Big.
they never go with Dr. Big. It's all, even my wife. I could tell my wife something, but then when we see it on your show, then it becomes gospel. Then it be, Dr. Oz said. Dr. Oz said. You know what I'm saying? And for anybody out there, he doesn't endorse any of these emails that you
please.
get.
Oh,
I
gosh.
told my wife, she fell for one. It was like
So
Dr.
did I.
Oz. So I was like, baby,
Oh, please.
you watch the show every day. The dude says it at the end of the effing show every day.
Every day.
Dr. Oz, cell phones. We've talked about this just in circles. And is a cell phone dangerous?
I personally don't think it's dangerous.
Okay.
However, we don't 100% know.
Right.
And in some folks, like young people who have thin skulls, the effect of the energy from the phone could play a role. And there have been some studies that make us worried about that. So I say to myself, why take a chance? There's simple things you can do right now to remove any possibility of having an issue with the cell phone. For example, instead of putting it in your pants pocket next to your testicles or in your bra next to your breast, areas that are very sensitive, right? You're making lots of things in those organs. Keep it off the skin. Even literally a half an inch off the skin gets rid of any real significant risk of the radiation.
Because I've been carrying my cell phone for years, like just in the same place. It's clipped to my belt. It's right,
Well, belt's better than in your pocket,
Okay.
but it's not as good as on the table. And especially if you have poor reception,
then it finds it even.
it has to boost up the energy to get the reception. So if you're in a car driving, if you're in an elevator, don't hold the phone. Don't plaster the phone against your head. And some people, it's like it's stuck there. Move it away. And at night when you go to sleep, put the phone about 5 feet away from your head. By the way, in the phone, there's an area where it says warnings. It tells you this stuff.
Oh
I
my God.
don't have to make it up. It's right there. They don't
Never
want to
read it.
take a risk either. It's if you go into the control panel, it'll give you a little extra at the very bottom, little warnings, and it'll say, ideally keep it, a little bit off your skin. Don't carry for long periods
What
of time.
about people that wear just the blue? Like a friend of mine, he wear the Bluetooth in his ear.
It doesn't work
every day.
The problem with the Bluetooth is the receiver.
But
All
isn't
their-
that dangerous to
Yes,
have that just
yes.
every day?
Because it's pulling
Damn.
all the it's sending its own message out to hear what the cell phone's getting. So instead of the phone committing the problem, it's that little earpiece. Like if you hear earbuds, they're okay. The earbuds that have little cables,
Right.
They're not actually bringing EMFs, the electromagnetic force and energy into your skin, to your vicinity. Those are fine. Put the thing on speakerphone, hold it a little off your ear, and do not put those earpieces in all day long. Use them when you use them, then take them out again.
Should I just let one of them carry my phone?
Yeah, I would do that. I think it's
Yeah,
fine.
I think I'm gonna do
With
that.
a spacious office, like you could lose a phone in this place.
Yeah,
It's so big.
Who could Louis? You know
Louis.
what I'm saying?
I'll
You're the
do it.
least important to me in here.
This studio is so big.
Hilarious.
Do you have equal cell phone coverage every part of the studio?
Not at all.
Like,
Not at
yeah,
all.
how-
That's probably the
Once
worst.
you get over there, that's where the area is at where
I'm
we're
talking
talking
about in your room right here. This room is so darn large. It's like an acre studio here.
Oh, you stop that, man. You stop that. Well, it took me all these years to get this damn thing, Dr. I'm not gonna apologize for it. You know what I'm saying?
What about vapors and e-cigarettes?
Oh,
I
my
see
God.
it everywhere, and I don't do it. And I want to tell people like you don't know what's going on.
We don't know what's up with these yet.
Smoking
Not at
them
all.
around.
They're made in China. There are all kinds of things in when you vape that you're not sure about. We're not even sure the chemicals that are vaped are any better if you vape them versus smoking them with cigarettes half the time. So, I tell you, there's some good medical reasons to be concerned, but the biggest reason that this unregulated field worries me is because it still builds an addiction. Listen, what's really worrisome to me, this is about pot too. I'm 100% for true medical marijuana. I think it works. I ran into a woman yesterday. I was buying a flower for a friend I was going to dinner with last night. And this woman gets me the flowers. It's an orchid, right? The sign of longevity. She gives me the thing, doesn't even acknowledge that I'm a real person. She's just sort of almost ignoring me. She gets to the cash register, she signs the thing, and then I see there's tears in her eyes. She's emotional. And she says, Dr. Oz, you saved my life. I said, oh my goodness. Well, why would you say that? She says, I had cancer, and I couldn't tolerate the chemo they were giving me. And I was vomiting. And you had your show and you talked about medical marijuana, about maybe helping people who had chemotherapy or other causes of having nausea all the time. And I tried the medical marijuana. Montel Williams is on the show, actually. He's a Marine who has MS. He can't get out of bed without his pot. And at the time, it wasn't legal yet. So we were fighting for folks to pay attention to this. And she said, I started taking the day I smoked my first joint. She said she hadn't smoked since high school. And she's in her 50s.
Yeah.
Her first smoke, it was the first time she had that nausea in weeks. And it got her through the chemo. Now she's years later and doing great. So I'm firmly a believer of things like medical marijuana. I believe vaping might one day be a great opportunity as an alternative to cigarette smoking. But here's the truth. If you're a young person and you think you have to do one of these things to get through life, you have to vape in order to relax, you have to smoke a joint to be able to function, that's a problem. Because you're building
That
an
falls into
emotional
addiction
addiction.
again, huh?
Yeah. You don't think you're good enough to do it. And the fact is, I'm here to tell you without loud and clear, you are good enough to do it yourself. You don't need anyone else but you. And the biggest reality is if you can't control your own body, you can't change the world outside of it. And that's what you should be doing.
What about when you see, and now it's saying like it's geared right at teens again, or the young,
Always.
you know, and just the way that they smell and the flavors, and we don't know exactly what this is yet.
Bubblegum vapes. What the heck is that? You're going after 13-year-olds. And here's, the human brain. We don't want to acknowledge this, but it's the truth. The human brain doesn't mature until you're in your early 20s.
Wow.
And that's why they send 18-year-old men off to war, because they'll do anything at 18. But at 22, they start saying, well, I don't know if I want to get shot and lose my arm for the rest of my... So that prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain where the executive function resides, where you make the important decisions that govern right and wrong and all those important things, that's not mature yet till you're 22, 23. So when you have someone who's younger than age 20 and they start developing a habit like smoking cigarettes or vaping or pot or whatever, these companies know that's when they need to get you. That's why they advertise to teenagers, because they take information, translate it to knowledge, and use it immediately, which we want to do too. I want to give them knowledge for making their lives better. We all do too. That's what you guys talk about here. That's why your audience is so important. But when you con those folks and they're thinking they need to have a joint to relax or vape in order to get through the day, that's a bad message.
What about energy drinks?
Same issue for me. Again, energy drinks are a false promise. They don't give you energy. They withdraw the energy you already have and use it elsewhere. And they use alternatives to caffeine that still have caffeine in them, like guarana or sugar, which sugar's like crack cocaine. It hammers your brain literally in the same place a cigarette hits you. Why are you guys looking at each other like
Oh,
that?
I keep looking at her because I keep telling her, Dr. Oz, Ani, to stop with all the energy drinks, bro.
Day, religiously.
Man.
Since when?
No,
This morning?
I have not had Red Bull
Since
in a long
Dr.
time.
Oz
No,
walked in?
but
Oh.
I did coffee though.
Coffee, I was trying to give up. I couldn't, but Red Bull.
But she used
coffee,
those
I had it a
double
lot.
shot energy
Yeah,
coffee
man, look at her
drinks.
now.
I'm much better off with a coffee person. Coffee got so many other. Coffee is the number one source of antioxidants in the whole country. Number one source. So, look, there are other ways that I think can get you energy. Napping is a good one.
Right.
But I'm okay with coffee. But the energy drinks, to me, they're tricking you up a little bit. If you're going to do them, it ought to be once, and you should know that it's not the ideal way to get you energy.
There it is. And
But,
what
you know-
about Miss? I have to take a pill to go to sleep at
Yeah,
night.
this one.
I do. I take melatonin. Like I cannot fall asleep. Like I like to be asleep by 9, so I wake up at 3. And if I tried this, if I don't take the pill, I can't go to sleep.
And it's
like,
a melatonin, though.
So melatonin, I'm okay with.
Okay,
Just one
yeah.
little bit of advice. You can take a lot lower dose of melatonin than most people think. You can take half a milligram. What melatonin does is it tells your brain it's nighttime. Your brain makes it by itself. You're just reminding it it's nighttime, so it's okay for you to go to bed. It doesn't put you to sleep. It just tells you that's the right time to go to sleep. And so it's a great thing. The other drugs we use for sleeping pills, those things, they're designed to be used for 2 or 3 weeks. There are people listening to my voice right now who've been taking it for months, maybe
Yeah,
years.
man.
Yeah.
That is not designed for that purpose. And when you do take those pills to get to sleep, it's not the same quality sleep all the time. It doesn't work quite the same way.
So I'm safe taking it every night.
Yes,
because I literally
but I'll
have
give you
to.
one thing you might help a little bit. If you get off your phone, to get off the screens for half an hour before you go to bed at night, you'll find it a lot easier to go to bed. In fact, I'm getting, they have these new covers now. I'm giving this for Christmas presents. They're covers that block the ultraviolet light from your phone. It looks the same. You can't tell that it's different, but it blocks that UV light. It's that UV light that turns off the brain's secretion of melatonin. It tells the brain, hey, it's daytime, stay up, party it up. And then if you turn off that light in your eyes, you'll actually fall asleep. And when I go to bed at night, you guys should all do this too. I don't let any bright lights on in the room
Yeah,
ever.
man.
You put little red night lights in the corners. Those red lights don't turn your brain on. Those red rays are what your brain needs to stay asleep. Those little tricks are hugely effective.
And also, if you're gonna do the melatonin, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even go every night. But what could put you to sleep is if you took like naked selfies of yourself and sent it out to us. All righty,
do that.
there it is,
Just
right
post
there.
Starting tonight.
You never post, just send it to us. Big boy, Hall of Fame week is going down up in here, man. We got Dr. Oz who just happened to walk up in here on Hall of Fame
Had
week.
to.
Thank you, my brother, for coming in and saying hello, man.
Making a house call for a very important reason. I've adored you for years.
Thank
so
you.
So millions of other folks. You deserve this award more than anybody else. I love the fact that you communicate with people who normally wouldn't pay attention to soulful, deeper issues, but you make it so much darn fun and
Thank
pay
you.
attention to life, which is your secret.
Thank you, my brother. And you know what? That's a lot coming from you. I appreciate that. Now, the Hall of Fame week, we're getting through that. Do I go on your show coming
Yeah.
up soon? Is it a whole celebration that's going on?
It's the usual. We just need a handsome picture of you so I can post it and tell everyone, listen, these are the guys who are changing the face of America.
Right.
And I
The
want to applaud
picture's
them.
fine, but I want to go and just be on the show.
Oh, fine. Yeah.
Like just all me. I'm purple gloves. I'm holding the heart.
In the
My
audience?
family. No, not in the audience.
okay.
I'm sitting there with them like, oh,
With the-
Dr.
with-
Oz.
he wants them and the family on the audience.
Yeah.
Listen, if you hold some momentum for me, we're going to pull this off.
So, what?
If you don't hold, you know what the momentum is?
I don't know. This sounds like it's
Is that
gonna
a
be
camera?
difficult.
Is that you gonna hold the camera to be over there?
Oh, be a surprise. The momentum is the fat pad that gives us our big bellies when we gain weight. And when we lose weight, it disappears. It's like pantyhose when you're thin, and it's like this big, I don't know what you describe, like big watts of soap when it's not.
Oh, you talking about just the fat?
The fat.
Oh yeah, man. I'll hold that up here. Matter of fact, I got some of my old one at the house. just sitting there, man. That stuff it's ridiculous. No, but Dr. Oz, thank you for coming in, man, and you just sitting here acknowledging my Hall of Fame week. I appreciate that.
Well, they're very proud for you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, Big Boy.
Big boy.
Dr. Oz, thank you so much, man. It's a pleasure to see you in here again, bro.
I love you, deal. You know, I come visit you for many reasons, not just your boyish good looks and
Thank
the
you.
fact that I adore you, but I
Thank you for lying.
love going like this.
He loves the bell.
yeah.
And he just did the charity ring, ladies and gentlemen. What happens when a guest come in and ring the bell? They got to donate $10,000
You
to our
got it.
charity.
Whatever you want.
Just make
Give
it
it
out to
another shot.
Kurt Alexander. Don't Google it. Yeah, you know, matter of fact, make it to Jaden. My son. I mean, we just give it to me blank. Definitely, man. Now, all the information that we covered here, man. November 19th. What's the date? What's the official day for November 19th? If there's a title to it.
It's facing addiction, but it's a national night of conversation.
National Night of Conversation. Just sitting down with my family, loved ones, and
If you go to DrOz.com, we give you some little tips. There's a really cute sheet called "The 10 Things You'd Be Dumb Not to Know About Drugs." It sort of reminds you about some of the things you're talking about, but also tell you how to actually talk to your kids because parents don't trust that they're as powerful as they really are.
Right.
Parents are the anti-drug. I mean, kids may not respect you, but they actually listen to you more than you believe. And we'll give you little ways of getting into it. For example, don't say first thing at dinner right after you eat the yam should not be, "Hey, you doing drugs?"
Right,
That's not gonna work.
right.
It should be, "Hey, are you how stressful is school these days, and how are you coping with that?" That's the first question because it gets into the bigger issue of how you're coping with stress. And that will lead you into different discussions like, do any of the classmates you have who are having problems with stress use drugs? Now you're sort of getting into the deeper issues, but you're dealing with it, customizing it to them without accusing them. So, spread the word. God bless you for bringing it up. And it's all on DrOz.com.
DrOz.com, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Oz up in here, big boy.
Big boy.